Moments ago, Buckingham Palace dropped news that changed history forever. King Charles has named Princess Catherine as his official successor, and Britain is stunned. The announcement wasn't just unexpected, it shattered centuries of royal protocol, overturning an unspoken assumption that power would flow traditionally from father to son. For the monarchy, always steeped in meticulous ceremony and guarded secrecy, this was a shocking rupture, one that signaled both vulnerability and urgency behind the palace walls. King Charles III's health had long been the subject of quiet whispers and cautious speculation. Months earlier, the palace disclosed only the barest details about a routine medical procedure. Yet beneath the measured statements and carefully worded assurances lay a more troubling reality. Charles was battling cancer, a diagnosis deliberately cloaked in ambiguity to prevent panic. Details were withheld, the type of cancer never fully revealed, fueling rampant speculation about the king's true condition. Rumors spread rapidly across Britain, whispers turning to anxious questions in the press and parliament alike. Could the cancer be aggressive? Was Charles fit enough to continue leading? Each unanswered query intensified public unease, pushing the nation toward uncertainty. Yet King Charles III met speculation with steely defiance. He appeared in public more determined than ever, his presence carefully orchestrated to project strength despite his private torment. Each handshake, each brief but purposeful address to the nation, was calculated to reassure an anxious public. But beneath that resolute facade, his closest advisors could see something deeper, a leader who was acutely aware of his limited time, balancing the heavy crown atop an uncertain future. Meanwhile, within this swirl of royal drama, another crisis had quietly emerged. Princess Catherine, beloved by millions for her poise and compassion, was navigating her own private anguish. Unbeknownst to the public, she had recently discovered a devastating truth about her health, a truth that would soon pull her from the shadows directly into the center of the storm. Her struggle remained a closely guarded secret, known only to those closest to her, yet its weight pressed heavily upon her shoulders. Behind her gentle smile and unwavering composure lay a battle that would soon redefine her role and reshape the monarchy itself. The nation's immediate reaction to Charles's historic announcement, astonishment, followed swiftly by confusion, soon turned to intense speculation. Media outlets scrambled, headlines racing to dissect the implications of this monumental decision. The choice of Catherine, a popular figure but historically unprecedented as a direct successor, ignited fierce debate. Was this move strategic, calculated to stabilize a monarchy facing uncertain times? Or had Catherine, through quiet strength and consistent public devotion, truly risen to become the king's most trusted choice? Amid the swirling rumors and mounting anticipation, one fact remained crystal clear. Britain was stepping into uncharted territory. Yet just as the public began to digest the enormity of the king's decision, another seismic shockwave erupted from Buckingham Palace, further rattling an already shaken nation. A second announcement revealed something profoundly personal and utterly unexpected. Princess Catherine herself had been diagnosed with cancer. This revelation hit with the force of a lightning strike, plunging the public back into anxious speculation. If Catherine, now officially named successor, was battling her own serious illness, what did this mean for the monarchy's future stability? Suddenly, the palace's carefully managed narrative had shattered into 1,000 unanswered questions. The nation left, grappling with a reality few had anticipated. Britain stood poised on the edge of a royal crisis unlike any in living memory, with both its present and future monarch battling illnesses that could alter history itself. But behind Catherine's brave public statement lay a deeply personal battle that would redefine the monarchy itself. In a move that defied centuries of carefully constructed royal protocol, Princess Catherine shattered tradition by openly revealing her cancer diagnosis to the world. This wasn't a carefully orchestrated press release filled with guarded language or vague assurances. This was raw, honest, and strikingly human. Speaking directly to the nation, Catherine's voice carried the weight of someone stepping bravely into uncharted territory, someone willing to expose her deepest vulnerabilities in a monarchy that had always prized discretion above all else. She spoke not as a distant royal figure, but as a woman facing her own mortality, openly acknowledging the emotional storm raging within her heart. The announcement left the nation breathless. Britain, accustomed to royals masked behind composure and quiet dignity, watched in stunned silence as Catherine peeled away that facade to reveal a powerful truth. Even royalty could suffer profoundly. She described her diagnosis with a quiet strength that resonated deeply, her words punctuated by moments of genuine emotion that betrayed the magnitude of her struggle. Her authenticity was profound, shaking the foundations of an institution that had rarely permitted such openness, especially regarding something as deeply personal as health. In revealing her illness, Catherine defied every royal expectation that demanded quiet stoicism, privacy, and silent endurance. Instead, she chose authenticity over appearance, vulnerability over image, transforming her diagnosis into a moment of empowerment rather than shame. It was an unprecedented step, turning centuries of palace expectations upside down. While previous royals had concealed pain behind closed doors, Catherine's courageous transparency resonated deeply, instantly transforming her from admired royal to beloved heroine, a woman who faced her greatest fears openly and without reservation. The public response was overwhelming and immediate, flooding social media and news outlets with heartfelt solidarity and unreserved admiration. Citizens from across Britain, alongside global voices, stood united behind her, praising Catherine for having the courage to speak out about her deeply personal battle. Cancer patients and survivors shared their own stories, grateful to see their struggles reflected so openly by a figure who, until now, had seemed untouchably perfect. Even the tabloids, notoriously harsh critics of royal vulnerability, paused to offer respect, moved by Catherine's raw and dignified revelation. Yet beneath the tidal wave of support and admiration, a haunting uncertainty lingered. Catherine's bravery came with a heavy price. In the weeks following her powerful announcement, her public appearances ceased abruptly. The princess, always a vibrant presence, quietly withdrew from public view. Her absence, at first a respectful acknowledgement of her need for privacy, soon gave rise to a darker wave of speculation. The public, still emotionally invested from her brave revelation, watched anxiously for updates that didn't come. Silence filled the void once occupied by Catherine's reassuring presence, transforming admiration into worry. Rumors whispered through London's corridors and across the nation. Was her condition worsening? Was the princess retreating from public life indefinitely? Or was there more to her silence, an even deeper personal battle playing out behind the palace walls? In her absence, questions multiplied, each more troubling than the last, fueling an atmosphere thick with suspense and uncertainty. As the nation held its breath, Catherine's silence spoke volumes. After months of haunting silence and anxious speculation, Catherine finally returned her appearance, marking not merely the end of treatment, but the dawn of a remarkable transformation. Her public comeback was nothing short of triumphant, the emotional resonance palpable, as Britain watched a woman once defined by grace and quiet dignity now emerge with a compelling new authority. Gone was any lingering fragility. In its place stood an unmistakable aura of strength and resolve. Catherine had battled through darkness, confronted mortality, and emerged more powerful than ever before. This return was no ordinary royal appearance, it was a statement of survival and defiance. Her eyes reflected a resilience earned through intense struggle. Her voice resonated with determination born from a deeply personal victory. Addressing the nation, Catherine spoke boldly, not just of her personal journey, but of the urgent need for greater awareness and accessible healthcare. Her powerful advocacy carried the weight of lived experience, transforming her from a quiet figurehead into an influential voice capable of inspiring millions. Her words no longer merely touched hearts, they ignited a fire of hope, action, and change. The royal family itself soon began to recognize Catherine's profound shift. Behind closed doors, palace advisors quietly recalibrated strategies, acknowledging that Catherine had evolved into a pivotal force. No longer simply a supportive presence at William's side, she had become indispensable, a figure whose influence was now critical to the monarchy's future. Internal communications subtly adjusted, placing increased emphasis on Catherine's expanding public role and influence. The palace, which had always valued tradition above all else, now found itself compelled to embrace this compelling new voice. Her public speeches began resonating with unmatched intensity, drawing larger crowds and sparking passionate public conversations around healthcare reform, early detection, and emotional resilience. Where Catherine once stood modestly in the shadows, she now confidently commanded attention. Her eloquence and vulnerability gave voice to countless others who had faced similar battles, creating a deep, emotional connection with the public that royalty had rarely known. With each appearance, Catherine solidified her newfound status, proving that power did not come solely from lineage or title, but from courage, compassion, and the relentless pursuit of purpose. Yet, even as her strength inspired the nation, whispers emerged from within palace walls, hinting at a more symbolic and transformative role awaiting Catherine, one even greater than her powerful advocacy. Palace insiders quietly spoke of something momentous unfolding, a shift that transcended mere public admiration. Catherine's emergence from illness had not only restored her personal health, but had also positioned her to become something far greater, a symbolic figure destined to embody the future of the monarchy itself. The woman who emerged from illness was no longer the quiet consort, she was becoming the heart of the monarchy itself. In the wake of Catherine's remarkable return, a powerful tribute emerged that captivated Britain in a profound and symbolic manner. The Royal Horticultural Society unveiled a flower, unlike any other, named simply Catherine's Rose. This was no ordinary garden tribute, nor a casual honor. It was a carefully cultivated emblem that echoed the resilience, elegance, and grace the princess embodied throughout her harrowing journey. Carefully chosen for its subtle coral hue and delicate fragrance, the rose became a tangible reflection of Catherine herself, soft yet strong, fragile yet fiercely resilient. The symbolism behind this gesture resonated deeply, with a public already profoundly moved by Catherine's brave openness about her illness. Each petal seemed to whisper her story, each bloom a quiet testament to healing and hope. This rose quickly became more than a floral curiosity. It transformed into a powerful symbol embraced passionately by people across the nation. It stood as a living, breathing reminder that even in the depths of adversity, beauty could flourish, and strength could be found. Britons lined up to purchase Catherine's rose, planting it in their gardens, windowsills, and communities, creating a sea of solidarity that spoke louder than any words possibly could. But the rose was more than merely symbolic. It embodied Catherine's vision for meaningful change. Every sale directly supported the Royal Marsden Cancer Charity, the very institution that had guided her through the darkest chapters of her battle. This transformed Catherine's powerful symbolism into practical and lasting action, channeling public affection into tangible support for thousands of others facing similar struggles. Her advocacy had shifted beyond mere awareness. It had evolved into a movement for compassion, generosity, and collective healing. This deeply personal gesture resonated powerfully with people from all walks of life, reinforcing Catherine's growing position as a transformative figure within British culture. No longer just admired as royalty, Catherine was now embraced as a beacon of inspiration, strength, and hope, a living symbol whose influence extended far beyond the palace gates. Her story became woven into everyday conversations, community initiatives, and nationwide charity efforts, her impact rippling outwards in ways no royal figure had before. Britain had found in Catherine something uniquely valuable, a royal who did not merely represent tradition, but who embodied profound emotional truth. Behind the palace walls, Catherine's blossoming symbolism quietly reshaped the monarchy itself. The institution, traditionally guarded and hesitant to change, began to subtly shift its stance, recognizing the extraordinary power Catherine wielded through sincerity and openness. Quietly, carefully, palace insiders acknowledged that her genuine connection with the people represented a shift more profound than any policy or proclamation. She was now more than just royalty. She had become essential, invaluable to the very fabric of the monarchy's future. Yet, Catherine's rose wasn't just symbolic, it was quietly rewriting royal tradition. Long before Catherine's rose captivated the public, the tradition of symbolic floral tributes had quietly blossomed, intertwining the royal family's future with Britain's collective imagination. Each flower chosen wasn't merely decorative, it was deeply personal, intentionally reflecting the unique essence of each royal child. Prince George was honored with the bright, resilient daffodil, an emblem of optimism, steadfastness, and an unmistakable promise of renewal. It was a quiet nod to the sturdy strength expected from a future king, resonating deeply with the public's hopes for a stable, reassuring presence in uncertain times. Princess Charlotte's tribute followed soon after, a gentle chrysanthemum, delicate yet resilient, mirroring the young princess's emerging personality. Graceful without being fragile, this flower symbolized quiet authority, hinting subtly at a role Charlotte was beginning to embody publicly. Each petal seemed to echo her mother's elegance and gentle strength, connecting deeply with Britons already enamored by Catherine's refined poise. As Charlotte matured in the public eye, the chrysanthemum became a soft, yet compelling symbol of her growing significance within the royal narrative. Prince Louis, the youngest and perhaps most spirited of Catherine's children, was fittingly represented by the vibrant clematis, a flower that climbs freely, full of youthful exuberance and boundless energy. This was no conventional tribute. It was a bold celebration of joy, spontaneity, and individuality. Louis's irrepressible charm and delightful unpredictability had already captured the nation's affection, and the choice of clematis reflected precisely this lively spark. Rather than a restrained emblem of royal dignity, it was an enthusiastic acknowledgement of Louis's free-spirited nature. Behind each floral dedication was Catherine's subtle yet undeniable influence. She had carefully cultivated her children's public identities, gently guiding their personalities to bloom authentically in the public sphere. Through quiet yet intentional nurturing, Catherine shaped how the world perceived the next generation of royals not merely as distant heirs, but as relatable, compelling figures whose distinct identities resonated widely. Her influence wove seamlessly through their blossoming personas, reflecting a deep maternal wisdom that fostered individual authenticity alongside royal duty. The public eagerly embraced these floral symbols, each new bloom deepening their emotional connection with the royal family. Britain didn't merely admire these royal children, they felt genuine affection for them, reinforced powerfully by these symbolic tributes. Homes and gardens across the nation featured daffodils, chrysanthemums, and clematis, as quiet, everyday affirmations of loyalty, respect, and affection, tokens of a bond growing ever stronger between royalty and the people they served. Yet amid these tender gestures and gentle symbols, a deeper transformation was quietly underway. Beneath the surface, behind the palace's carefully tended gardens and symbolic tributes, shifts in influence and power began subtly stirring. Whispers within royal corridors hinted at preparations that reached far beyond mere symbolism. Catherine's presence, now woven deeply into the monarchy's fabric, hinted at an impending evolution, one quietly acknowledged, yet profound in its implications. But while royal gardens bloomed behind palace walls, preparations for the future accelerated. While Britain admired the symbolic blooms that linked Catherine's family to the nation's heart, behind closed palace doors, a silent but seismic shift had begun. Deep within corridors, accustomed to stability and rigid protocol, advisors and courtiers quietly accelerated the delicate preparations for a succession no one openly discussed, but everyone knew was inevitable. Plans once filed away for some distant, unknowable future were suddenly reviewed, revised, and brought startlingly closer to reality. Every carefully orchestrated move hinted at a monarchy subtly bracing itself for profound change. Prince William and Catherine found themselves increasingly positioned not merely as heirs, but as essential figures ready to step forward into the glare of leadership. Public appearances grew markedly frequent, each event meticulously planned to showcase their readiness and reassuring stability. Their presence took on a deeper significance, no longer just routine engagements. These moments became deliberate glimpses into a future that was drawing closer by the day. William's authoritative yet approachable demeanor blended effortlessly with Catherine's newfound strength and compassion, painting a vivid picture of what the monarchy could become. The public, keenly attuned to even the smallest shifts within the royal sphere, reacted swiftly. Each appearance of William and Catherine ignited anticipation and excitement, fostering a growing consensus. Perhaps this quiet transition wasn't just inevitable, it was necessary. Poll after poll reflected the people's rising confidence and trust in the pair's ability to lead, bolstered by Catherine's powerful story of resilience and William's steady dedication. A once unimaginable succession suddenly seemed both imminent and desirable, capturing the imagination of a nation hungry for continuity amid turbulent times. Yet even amid growing public enthusiasm, tension simmered beneath the monarchy's polished facade. Palace advisors understood the risks involved in accelerating succession plans. Every step had to be taken with delicate precision. The slightest miscalculation could destabilize everything they sought to protect. Secret briefings intensified, confidential documents exchanged hands, and meetings hidden from public view shaped decisions that could determine the monarchy's future. Each advisor felt the weight of history pressing down upon them, aware they were navigating dangerous waters where tradition met transformation. The royal couple, acutely conscious of the role they were being groomed for, moved gracefully but strategically, aware that every appearance and gesture carried deep significance. With every carefully measured word and composed smile, they communicated a readiness that transcended mere duty. It spoke of profound commitment, vision, and responsibility. Britain watched them closely, sensing that these were no longer rehearsals, but authentic glimpses of a new royal reality soon to come. Yet amidst meticulous planning and rising anticipation, a quiet, mysterious whisper emerged from deep inside palace walls. It hinted at an extraordinary encounter, one deliberately shielded from public eyes, but of immense importance. Rumors of an unprecedented, secret meeting began to trickle out, swirling through palace halls, reaching only those who knew to listen. Few details emerged, but what little was known was enough to ignite fervent speculation. Why would King Charles, a man known for guarded formality and cautious tradition, privately summon Catherine, a woman whose powerful influence had grown immeasurably in recent months? And then came a private invitation, one no one expected. Behind the guarded walls of Buckingham Palace, shielded from prying eyes and away from eager cameras, an extraordinary meeting quietly unfolded, one destined to change the monarchy forever. King Charles, whose every public action was usually steeped in meticulous formality, summoned Princess Catherine to an intimate, private lunch. The very act itself carried immense significance, sparking intense whispers among palace staff. Yet officially, not a single word was released, leaving a nation hanging on silence, speculating fervently on what might have transpired behind that closed door. In the absence of an official statement, the quiet yet unmistakable transfer of symbolic power spoke volumes. Palace insiders discreetly hinted at the gravity of the moment, recognizing the silent but powerful shift underway. The king, burdened by illness and a heavy crown, was said to have acknowledged Catherine's transformative influence. Without speeches or grand ceremonies, without even a brief public acknowledgement, Charles quietly signaled his trust, subtly passing a torch lit by tradition, but brightened now by Catherine's modern vision. The monarchy, in this silent, private encounter, had undeniably shifted. Outside palace gates, speculation ignited like wildfire. Newspapers, social media, and public debates erupted, each seeking to decode every subtle hint, every whispered clue. Analysts dissected every detail, from the timing and secrecy to the symbolic meaning of such an unprecedented private meeting. Was this the unofficial coronation of a new kind of royal leader, one whose power came not from mere lineage, but from genuine public devotion and undeniable strength? As speculation grew, so too did the awareness that this moment was more than just significant, it was historical. Catherine emerged from the meeting quietly but profoundly altered, now subtly yet unmistakably, positioned as a sovereign presence in her own right. No longer defined simply as William's supportive spouse or even as a beloved princess, she now carried herself with a subtle, new authority. Advisors and courtiers noticed the shift immediately, sensing in her demeanor the quiet confidence and certainty of someone who had just stepped into a broader, weightier role. It was as if Catherine had crossed an invisible threshold, one known only to her and the king, yet deeply felt by all around her. Across Britain, the public perception of Catherine transformed swiftly, her name now whispered in awe and admiration, not merely as a popular royal figure, but as a central force in the monarchy's future. The media quickly reframed her narrative, shifting from beloved princess to a formidable, influential leader whose voice and vision would shape the institution profoundly. Conversations shifted toward anticipation, even excitement, about what Catherine's leadership might mean not just for the monarchy, but for the nation itself. Yet, as powerful as the speculation and public dialogue were, they only hinted at the true magnitude of that private conversation. For Catherine, stepping out of that room was not simply returning to royal duty, it was a decisive step into the forefront of history. Her quiet, unspoken agreement with King Charles had irrevocably altered the monarchy's trajectory. In the silence between them, power had shifted profoundly, invisibly, but undeniably. When Catherine left that room, the monarchy had quietly shifted forever. From the moment Catherine stepped into the public eye, comparisons to Princess Diana were inevitable whispers that echoed through the halls of media and the hearts of the British people alike. But unlike any mere echo, Catherine's rise was a powerful rebirth, a new chapter in a story marked by grace, resilience, and genuine connection. Where Diana once shattered royal molds with her compassion and fearless empathy, Catherine was quietly forging her own path, one defined not by rebellion, but by strength refined through hardship and a deep understanding of what it meant to serve as both a symbol and a person. The public didn't just see a princess. They saw a reflection of hope, courage, and a modern monarchy ready to embrace change. Her presence in the public sphere expanded dramatically, no longer confined to ceremonial duties or polished appearances. Catherine's advocacy took on real urgency, championing mental health awareness, pushing for early cancer detection, and lending her voice to causes that mattered deeply to millions. Each engagement was more than a photo opportunity. It was a deliberate act of leadership, a beacon shining light on issues too often ignored. Her speeches, once tentative and rehearsed, grew in passion and conviction, resonating with authenticity born from lived experience. Catherine was no longer simply a figurehead. She had become a voice for the vulnerable, a champion for change. The admiration that once surrounded Catherine blossomed into something more profound: expectation and respect. The public's affection transformed into trust, a belief that she was not only capable but destined to lead. Polls and public discourse increasingly reflected this sentiment, revealing a nation eager to embrace a monarchy grounded in empathy and modern relevance. People didn't just watch her, they listened, learned, and rallied behind her, seeing in Catherine the embodiment of a new royal ideal, one that honored tradition but wasn't shackled by it. The warmth of this connection marked a seismic shift in royal relations with the public, elevating Catherine from beloved princess to beloved leader. Through every challenge and triumph, Catherine redefined what royalty could be. She blended empathy with resilience, grace with grit, reminding a world hungry for authenticity that strength often arises from vulnerability. Her journey shattered long-standing stereotypes of royal stoicism, proving that true leadership demands both compassion and courage. In embracing her own humanity so openly, she humanized the monarchy itself, forging an unbreakable bond with a people yearning for connection in uncertain times. This transformation wasn't just personal, it was institutional, reshaping perceptions and expectations across the realm. Yet, as Catherine's influence grew and her role solidified, the most significant moment was still to come. Behind palace walls, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation. Advisors and insiders spoke in hushed tones about a final, historic proclamation. King Charles, whose health had been a silent catalyst throughout this unfolding drama, was preparing to make an announcement that would formalize Catherine's rise, sealing her place not just as the future queen, but as a defining figure in the monarchy's rebirth. But today's revelation was just the beginning. The moment the official announcement came, it shattered silence and expectations in equal measure. King Charles, after months of subtle shifts and quiet preparations, declared Princess Catherine his official successor. The words, delivered with solemn gravity, marked a historic turning point, a dramatic affirmation that the future of the monarchy rested firmly in her hands. It was a proclamation both shocking and inevitable, heralding the rise of a new era shaped by resilience, courage, and an unyielding commitment to the people. The crown, long a symbol of tradition, now signaled transformation. Across Britain and the globe, reactions flooded in waves of admiration, optimism, and excitement sweeping through every corner. The public response was immediate and profound. Streets buzzed with conversations, news outlets reeled from the impact, social media erupted in celebration and hope. For many, Catherine represented a breath of fresh air, an emblem of strength born not from privilege alone, but from survival, empathy, and relentless dedication. She was embraced not only as a royal figure but as a beacon of possibility. A modern symbol in a world desperately seeking authentic leadership. Reflecting on Catherine's extraordinary journey, the contrast between her humble beginnings and her newfound status could not be starker. From a commoner who captivated a prince with her quiet grace, to a woman who weathered public scrutiny, personal trials, and devastating illness, Catherine's path was one forged through sheer determination and unwavering resolve. Her ascent defied the rigid constraints of royal tradition, rewriting the narrative of what it meant to belong to the monarchy. Her story resonated deeply because it was human, marked by struggles and triumphs that echoed far beyond palace walls. Speculation about the future intensified. The dynamic duo of Catherine and William now stood at the forefront of the monarchy's evolution. Questions abounded. How would they reshape this ancient institution? Would they embrace modernity without forsaking tradition? Could they restore public faith amid decades of skepticism and turmoil? Analysts debated their every move, Experts pondered policy shifts, and the public dreamed of a reign defined by compassion, progress, and stability. The stakes had never been higher, and the world watched with bated breath. Ultimately, Catherine emerged as the modern face of a timeless institution, an emblem of continuity and change interwoven. Her presence promised a monarchy that honored its storied past while bravely stepping into the future. This was not just the crowning of a princess, it was the beginning of a legacy, one built on resilience, empathy, and the courage to lead with heart. Britain now stands poised on the brink of an unprecedented chapter, and Catherine is ready to lead. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.